funds are in ETFs, and that's now being very much focused around the active side. So passive has been a big growth story, but now active ETFs are an area of intense innovation. We've seen fund developments or structural developments in terms of providing access to end investors in the private market space. So, for example, we've seen the EU launch the LTIF structure. We've seen the UK launch the LTAF structure to enable greater participation in private markets. And more recently, we've seen a real focus on tokenization using blockchain technology to bring different ways of bringing funds and investment opportunity to end investors. And that's a big focus area for a lot in the industry at present. The focus on tokenized funds and digital assets is significantly increasing. Over the last sort of 5+ years, much of the emphasis in that area has been around the growth of crypto, which has been outside of what I would call the traditional investment industry, attracting many new types of investor. And the industry has been looking at that and thinking through, well, what are the implications for our traditional investment business? More recently, people have been looking at the technology behind crypto, the DLT technology, blockchain, and actually really moving forward in how they can create fund vehicles using tokens to provide much wider participation and improved efficiencies to end investors. So a lot of interest. I think a lot of organizations are innovating around the area. They are collaborating also among each other, but also with industry associations, with regulators, to look at how the whole funds infrastructure needs to evolve to enable use of tokenization and digital assets. There's a lot of opportunities and benefits with digital assets that fund managers and other firms are interested in. The current funds industry is incredibly complex. For an end investor, often there could be up to 10 different parties that need to be involved in an end-to-end transaction from end investor to issuer in gaining exposure to an underlying asset. So the industry is characterized by lots of parties working in a chain, which does bring inefficiency, it brings additional cost and challenges. So digital assets and tokenization enables potentially the industry to shortcut a lot of those elements of the chain, improving efficiency and therefore reducing cost. They also enable a much more tailored end investor experience, potentially enabling 24/7 trading, potentially enabling real-time settlement, things that you can't get in the traditional funds industry at present. So lots of potential benefits, but various challenges as well. So some of the challenges, and I have alluded to that earlier, the biggest one is the complexity of the existing funds industry. So many different parties, many established practices, and that complexity of aligning all those different parties to adopt new ways of working, integrate different technology solutions is a big challenge and requires significant alignment and working together across the industry. Compounding that, there aren't necessarily consistent definitions of aspects of digital assets and tokenization. There are different regulatory regimes with different outlooks around how they would enable and support fund tokenization, for example, or utilizing tokens as investment vehicles. So a lot of existing infrastructure to work through, understand the implications and make the changes. And alongside that, if we are adopting and we are seeing more of a transformation of the funds industry, that will present new risks that have to be thought through. It will be a top of agenda for regulators and governments to ensure that the system remains resilient and understands those new risks and builds controls and safeguards against them. So all of that requires a lot of work and effort to work through. I think there's been increasing interest, which is now at a point of described as acceleration of focus. So people have been talking about the potential, they have been discussing and maybe looking at certain proof of concepts in areas, but now we're seeing a concerted effort of actual work and alignment with people and launching new funds, utilizing the new technologies available. And as that snowballs, I think that will accelerate. And I think what we're seeing from the end investor perspective is a real interest in being able to utilize and adopt the technology. The fact, for example, some of the recent estimates suggest that there could be up to 16 trillion invested via tokenized vehicles in the next 5 or 6 years. So a real acceleration and potentially a lot more to come.